Gerry Dulac, who's covered the Steelers forever and a day, is here on the program. Before we jump into the here and now, let me play the soundbite. I imagine, were you at the press conference with Tomlin earlier today?
Absolutely. Yeah,
okay, which is why you're at the Steelers facility right now. This was Mike Tomlin on Aaron Rodgers' wrist and his readiness for maybe this week even.
Aaron's got a fracture in his wrist. It does not require surgery. Really, it's just about bracing it and securing it for his comfort and safety. And then it's about how functional he is. And so we don't have the answers to that as we stand here today. But certainly I would imagine we're going to get some clarity as we push through the week. I think his experience really kind of aids in that. He's the type of guy and has the type of profile that doesn't require a lot of physical work in an effort to be ready to play. And again, as I mentioned, the variables are stabilizing it and making sure that he's safe and he can protect himself, brace himself as he falls, et cetera. Pain tolerance, but that doesn't seem to be an issue with Aaron. He wanted to go back in the game on Sunday. And then lastly, obviously, how effective he can be.
All right, I'll give you the floor, Gerry. What's your 2 cents on what you heard and what you know and what you can put on the table for us here?
Well, Rich, I think they're going to probably be overly cautious because there's a lot of variables there that you heard Mike Tomlin just list. And, one of them is functionality. How good can he function? What is it going to be like taking snaps, even though the vast majority of time he's in a shotgun? The pain issue is not going to be a factor at all for him. But then it becomes, okay, a lot with some handoffs. Do you become a right-handed handoff guy, which a lot of times he does not on play action? And then, and then it just becomes, the safety issue too. What happens, he heard it the other day when he fell. And so if that happens again, now all of a sudden the injury's a little bit worse. So I'm going to guess based on all that he is not going to play. I'm certainly not ruling it out. But they also know they're comfortable that if Mason Rudolph has to play, it'd be different if it was just Will Howard, for example, the rookie who just came off IR. But knowing what Mason Rudolph is capable of doing and knowing the potential risk of maybe a greater injury, that injury does not, it's a fracture, but it does not need surgery. That doesn't mean that another hit or another bad fall won't cause that to not be the case. So that's going to be my guess, but I'm not going to rule them out either, only because they haven't, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, if we're talking ifs and variables, Gerry, if this was, say, the Week 15 game home for Miami or a Week 17 game at Cleveland, right? I would hear you saying, out of abundance of caution, let's not make it any worse. But this is Chicago, man. This is the home of the Bears. This is where he once told the fans, I own you. And,
which he does.
Which, by the way, I'm not disputing. I didn't stutter either, right? But this has to mean this is Rodgers, no doubt, pushing. He's got to be pushing. Didn't Tomlin even admit that he did bring this up, like he wants to play this weekend to Tomlin, Gerry?
Yes, he did, and I'm sure he does. And he wanted to go back in the game on Sunday, according to Mike Tomlin. Of course, they didn't, because at that time they didn't know the extent of his injury. They didn't want to make it worse because they didn't know what they were dealing with. That's why they didn't put him back in. But yes, he wants to play against the Bears. He's beaten them 24 times in his career. That's more than any other team that he has beaten in his 21 years. And there's no active quarterback that has beaten one team more than the other than what Aaron Rodgers has with the Bears. I think the next closest, Joe Flacco has beaten the Bengals, the old Bengals, like 24 times, or the Browns, 18. But nobody has owned one team among active quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers has owned the Bears.
Right, and he wants to play the Bears in Chicago because he doesn't know when he's going to ever get that opportunity again, schedule-wise. It may not. This is his one shot. So. That is definitely part of this, Gerry. There's no denying it.
Yeah,
this week is going to be part of the dynamic.
And I think too, Rich, what could happen is though they could. This is very real as well. Is that he will start the game and they'll see how it is going. How is he performing? Is it a problem? in terms of, again, functionality and how effective he can be. And then, they can weigh it that way going forward. But this is a different Bears team, too, as you know, Rich. I mean, they're 7-3. They've won 7 of the last 8 games. The offense is really clicking with Ben Johnson. And so they'll want to see how effective Aaron Rodgers can be because, I don't think this is going to be 34-31, but I think they're going to have to score some points against the Bears.
Well, and that's been an issue consistently this year, right? Like, let's remove the whole Rodgers health aspect of this week out. And what's your assessment of the offense so far? What has ailed it and what is fixable in your estimation, Gerry?
Well, one of the things that's ailed them, Rich, is their third down conversion rate. You look at the previous 6 quarters with Aaron Rodgers. They converted 4 of 18 third downs. And then Mason Rudolph comes in the second half. He converts 5 of 6, including 3 of 3rd and 11 or longer. And so the consistency, the rhythm on offense has been missing. There's been no flow to the offense. Oh, there have been examples of it, no question. But I think the overall consistency of what they want to do and what they've been able to do has been the biggest thing holding them back. The 340 yards they had against the Bengals, were the most they had in 3 games. And it's just been too up and down offensively. Aaron Rodgers has been very good, witness the 19 touchdowns, very few interceptions, very few turnovers, of course. And yet their rhythm and flow the last 3 games, or certainly their last 10 quarters with Aaron Rodgers, hasn't been what they would like, despite the fact I know he threw 4 touchdowns against the Indianapolis Colts, but that was somewhat the byproduct of a short field and all the takeaways that they had. But nonetheless, he made them pay for it. But the offense that game, 225 yards. A week later, 221 yards. Rich, that's the second lowest 2-game total they've had since 2019. That goes back to when Randy Fittner was a coordinator. So they have struggled offensively.
Well, what's the mood there in that town, Gerry? Because the up and down play since the 4-1 start only lends credence to any concerns that this season is going to end similar to the way the last several seasons have ended, either short of the playoffs, making the playoffs and short of a playoff win, Gerry. Right? The Ravens are right there. They haven't played the Steelers yet. They've won 4 in a row. The whole world thinks they're going to run the Steelers down, and I know Tomlin doesn't care what the whole world thinks. But the world of Pittsburgh, what's the mood there right now?
Yeah, Rich, I think there's a lot of trepidation there. That 3.5-game lead that the Steelers had on the Ravens is all but gone. And if Mason Rudolph doesn't come in the second half and preserve that victory, and I know they got 2 defensive touchdowns as well, then all of a sudden they're tied with the Ravens at this point. 2 more games against the Ravens. They have Buffalo after the Bears. They still have to go to Detroit. And you look at the 4 of the last 6 years in December, they've had 3-game losing streaks. Now I know it was it was a bit of an extreme anomaly last year when they played the 3 best teams in 11 days in December, but that has been a repeated pattern for them. And these fans, the people around town, they know it, and that's why there is a lot of trepidation about what's going to happen. When they were 4-1, I don't think people were making their Super Bowl reservations. And then, again, they lose Sunday. That's to the Bengals. That was 4 of their last 5 they would have lost. So, it would have been an early season, quote, decline for them. And I don't think anybody's doing cartwheels yet about where the Steelers are headed. And as you mentioned, Rich, their quick playoff exits. They haven't won. They've lost their last 5 playoff games. Mike Tomlin's had 8 one-and-dones. That's 1 shy of Marty Schottenheimer, who has the record of 9, and they certainly don't want to see that happen again. They get there, but they don't do anything with it.
Man who's covered the Steelers for a long time, Gerry Dulac, here on the Rich Eisen Show. A couple more things for you before I let you go on with your Tuesday. In the building, what people might be saying about Jalen Ramsey getting ejected from a game for an offense that I don't think anybody begrudges him now that we know he had a Jamar Chase's spittle in his face. And anybody maybe calling the league up saying, let's not fine Jalen. You ejected him, but this was justified, his actions?
Yeah.
Gerry?
Yeah. Rich, that's going to be a tough line to walk because he did punch him. And, but, again, was it justified? Okay. You go back to Jalen Carter and Dak Prescott. when we know what happened in that opening game of the season before they even started playing, and Dak Prescott didn't react that way. I'm not, and like Mike Tomlin said today when he was asked about it, he said he has no message for somebody how to react when he's spit upon.
Yeah,
so,
right. I mean, that's a
but,
great answer.
Yeah, it is, and we know that Jalen Ramsey plays with an attitude. And the funny thing, Rich, is I'm watching the two in the binoculars. They weren't barking at each other. They were just kind of standing there. And then Jalen Ramsey reacts the way he does. And I go, oh, what is he doing? How stupid is that? But yet, at that point in time, you didn't know what happened. And actually, I think they should give Jamar Chase 2-game suspension, 1 for spitting, 1 for lying.
Interesting. Well, I mean, 1 for lying to the press?
Right, 1 for lying, saying he didn't spit on anybody.
How dare he lie to the press? Now, if he lied to the NFL, now I understand. That's a totally different.
Imagine that, Rich. Imagine that
a
player lying to the press. I've never seen that happen.
That's a 1-game suspension on the spot. And then last thing for you, Jerry. How do the Steelers view George Pickens balling out the way that he is? And I have a follow-up question for you on this front. How do they view that?
Well, one, probably not surprising, because they know he's an ultra-talented player.
Right.
He has a quarterback. He's playing with a quarterback who, still can spin it and be very productive with Dak Prescott. So none of that is a surprise, nor should it be a surprise. But that isn't the reason why they got rid of him.
So why is it? Why is it? Let's get down to some brass tacks, because
he was disruptive. He was disruptive in the locker room, Rich. Late for meetings, late for games. I was told that his teammates were fed up with it. It's only going to be a matter of time, probably, before the same happens in Dallas, if it hasn't already. But that's the biggest reason they did it. Now, would have it looked wonderful to have that tandem with DK Metcalf? Yeah. Absolutely. But it's part of the reason why they brought in DK Metcalf, because they knew they were going to move on from George Pickens.
Well, I mean, he's late for games, meaning what? Like he needed to be there before an hour before?
Routinely. Whatever time, Rich, he was supposed to show up, and I don't know what that is.
Right.
He was always late. And I will give you a quick example. Do you remember the incident last year where, the television reporter reported that he was going to play, would be on limited snaps? They got the information from Mike Tomlin. And the reason why that misinformation was transmitted to I believe, Tracy Wolfson, if I'm not mistaken, is because that's what Mike Tomlin knew without talking to George Pickens, because he didn't show up on time. He wasn't there. And when he reported to the stadium late, they had to take him by ambulance with a police escort to the hospital to have a quick MRI or X-ray. And when he came back, they said he can't play. So that was an example right there of him showing up late, and then it becoming a little bit of embarrassing for Mike Tomlin, giving some misinformation to the TV reporter 90 minutes before the game.
So it looks like none of that's happening in Dallas, or he did. Were they like nodding their heads, seeing him standing next to CeeDee Lamb before the game, and then getting flagged, hugging the goalpost? Jerry,
right?
Is that what you're saying?
And I didn't hear why he sat down the opening series,
right?
But I'm sure it was probably for some no, which I'm sure, knowing George, is probably occurring in Dallas.
Jerry, I appreciate the time. What are you binge watching now?
Rich, Diplomats run its course. I've finished season 3.
Good job.
And now Landman is back, and I saw your guest the other day, which I enjoyed. And I'm Tulsa King and Landman.
You saw Ali Lauder here, Jerry, huh? You saw her?
Yeah. Your litany of guests. I'm so far down the totem pole, it doesn't even matter.
Come on now, man. But I guess I need to be fair and balanced, because she was wearing a green dress because she's an Eagles fan. So I got both sides of the stake now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wore some gray today, I think, to be reflective of the weather, not necessarily an NFL team.
Gerry Dulac, everybody here. You're the best, man.
Amazing.
Thanks for making us smarter and taking some time.
All right, Rich.
You got it. Say hi to Bert and the rest
Always
of the Steelers for me,
you,
man. There you go. There's Gerry Dulac, everybody.
I'll wait when I leave.
Awesome. There he goes. I know exactly that room. I've done Zooms, I think, into this show from that room. Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app, 12 to 3 Eastern.